Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to London, England, for the press conference for X004. Now, I'm joined up here today with our esteemed partners, DAZN, the CEO of North America, Joe Markowski, joins us, and of course, the undisputed king of crossover boxing, Mr. KSI.
Yeah.
Now, it's been a wildly entertaining half a year for Misfits Boxing. We've smashed records, viewing numbers, gone from our major kick-off event in the O2 in August. We've seen the historic 2 fights in one night by the man to the right of me. We've then gone on to Sheffield with X002, X003 in Austin, and now, as promised, the blockbuster on January 14th in Wembley Arena. Now, of course, we were all expecting to have both fighters here today. We were informed yesterday that Mr. Danis was unable to make his plane booked for him due to preferring to concentrate on training after having suffered a bout of influenza, we believe, and concentrate rather on the fight, which is in just under 1 month today. That being said, we are expecting him to join us on stream. He hasn't quite surfaced yet. I'm sure KSI will have some things to say about that in a minute. But moving on from, or beginning with the corporate part of things, and let's say the takeover of the crossover world of boxing by Misfits in the last 6 months. We thank very much, of course, our partners at Stake, and naturally the insanely incredible Prime Hydration, but also, of course, our exclusive global broadcast partners, and also a big mastermind behind the X series, Mr. Joe Markowski. Joe, thank you for joining us you made it from New York yesterday. Unfortunately, Dylan didn't quite get on your plane.
I did. Planes were running from New York.
They were, just checking that.
Confirm that. But yeah, thank you for having us. Good to be here with you and JJ. Listen, I think 3 years ago, DAZN was foundational in the elevation of crossover boxing to the level we're now at with KSI at Logan Paul 2. That event sort of whet our appetite hugely for this space. COVID was clearly a disruptive force on that, but we always wanted to get back into the space in a really meaningful way. I think that vision was shared by yourself and by JJ and by other leaders in the space. And so we are extremely excited to be delivering events of scale and consistently doing that with the X Series. We're truly very excited about it. It's one of the most exciting parts of our business globally. It's got true global interest. Clearly the US and the UK are our sort of foundational markets, but the ambitions we have, and I know they're shared with yourself and with JJ and everyone at Misfits, is to take this thing global. We're tremendously excited about what we can do together in 2023 and beyond, but right at the start of the year, January 14th, a major pay-per-view with huge interest, proper crossover event, obviously with the MMA crowd that followed Danis, and we're very excited to be the exclusive global broadcaster of that event, and going forward very excited to be partnering with both yourself and JJ, so thank you.
And I think when I look at the card here, I think one big success factor, unfortunately, our partner Mans Taylor is not with us here today, but is watching from the States. I look at this card, and we were just talking about it a minute, JJ, ago. You've got names on there now as well, which for your subscriber base, but also for our fans, become regulars. So you've got the likes of Slim, Salt Pappy, Ryan Taylor returning, and you start to see the vision of where we'll go on from 004 to 005 and far into the future, of building sustainability but a consistency in a crazy space, but now a space that Misfits has occupied and controls.
Yeah, for sure, and I think the breadth of who can fight, who can participate in X Series events is really anyone with a public profile. That's the beauty of it. I think we've brainstormed about where this could go. Is it politicians? Is it Is it rappers? Is it actors? Is it YouTubers? I think it can be everyone. We want to make sure that the door is open for everyone. We want to do that on a global basis, as I say. But I think for the sports industry, what we are trying to do with the X Series is hugely innovative. I think also it's really important because as younger generations come into watching sport, obviously we want to engage them, we want them to be subscribers and customers of DAZN. The crossover of sport with new age celebrity, as I describe it, is super important, I think, to engage in that next generation of sports fans and for DAZN for making customers of our wider business. So we're tremendously excited and very proud to be foundational partners in this.
Thank you. And I will add to that. I also feel that we are doing something for the whole boxing space in terms of attracting those young eyeballs, and that leads me on really to the man on my right, the man who occupies the space at the very top of the castle, the man who is so behind this movement and someone who has dedicated so much time into this sport already, but approaches it as a true professional. And how else can I introduce you? The king of the castle. Over to you, Mr. KSI.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy KSI. Thank you, everyone, for coming. In terms of Dylan Danis not being here at the moment, I think it's quite disappointing, disrespectful to me and everyone who's here, expecting him to show up. But it's definitely not something I haven't seen before. Same thing happened with Alex Wasabi. We were meant to fight, and he obviously flaked. And I don't know. Maybe it's my presence. Maybe it's just me in general. Like, I'm just so much of a scary guy. But I can understand that. I'm a person that I'm very disciplined. I'm very focused. And you look at my resume. I don't lose too many times. So I think for Dylan that's probably seeping in. And I know he's undefeated himself, but I think looking at me in the eyes, even when we saw each other in Texas, I could tell, it was all a facade. Like, he had to pretend that he's bigger and stronger than he actually is. And it kind of shows, like, him not being here shows how little he really is, how small his mindset really is. And he says I'm not a real fighter, but I'm always here, I'm always ready. And he, as someone who says is a real fighter, has not made the plane trip to fight me, or to see me, should I say, and then has not made even the Zoom call to see me. He is terrified, he's petrified of me, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing. But, either way, like, when I do see him in the ring, he'll understand that all the frustration and anger I have for him for, disrespecting me in this way, will show January 14th. I'm a guy that whenever I'm focused and whenever I want something, I will get it, no matter what. And if anything, this makes me want to train harder. It makes me want to do more than I already am doing. It makes me want to do more sprints. It makes me want to do more bag work, do more sparring, do more of everything that I've been doing at such a high level. And I'm ready for all things, whether it's Dylan Danis, whether it's Tommy Fury, whether it's Jake Paul, whether it's any of these guys. Like, I am a different beast, and I will show it with all of these fights that I do. It's just a shame.
And I mean, I spoke to his manager yesterday, who said he didn't want to be, but he insisted on a video link, which we then organised and that he hasn't appeared on now. Do you believe you're living rent free in his head right now?
I believe I am all he thinks about, and I think I'm in his nightmares. I think I'm constantly terrorizing him, haunting him, and it's making him slowly break down. It's making him feel like, wow, maybe I'm way in over my head. You know, I say this guy is in a fire. I say this guy is a phony, this, that. But when it comes to it, you know, when I see KSI in that ring January 14th, am I really ready to get in there with him? You know, many have tried to beat me and have failed. And does he really think he's going to be the guy to be able to beat me? I don't think so.
The question I really wanted to ask him, but I'm going to sort of try and turn it into a question for you now. He's obviously an undefeated MMA fighter, so very good credit for that part. He'll be, I'm assuming, working with striking coaches, working with boxing coaches. How do you and your team with Alexis and Marius, how are you preparing for what must be one of the hardest challenges? Is he's certainly a fighter on paper, don't take that away from him, but it's an underscript when it comes to boxing. I mean, I felt the vibe in that ring in Texas before the armed police stormed the ring. It was, you know, but it's not a grappling competition. It's not a competition on the floor. It's a stand-up man-on-man. How do you prepare for that? Is it like any other opponent? Have you been studying his moves inside of Bellator ring?
Well, I mean, with Danis, you know, we know he's the southpaw, and you know, we know he's a fighter. You know, throughout, like, he's been training with Conor McGregor, etc. And, you know, that's his job. His job is to fight. That's all he does. Whereas I'm not a fighter. I'm a guy who has done YouTube as well as music. As you know, these are my career paths. YouTube, music. You know, I've got Prime. I've got XIX sides. You know, I make Simon videos. I do all these other things, and I also box. So that is, you know, a thing which again makes it so funny that I'm still here, you know, with all my schedule, with everything I do, and then he isn't. But yeah, with Danis, you know, we know with him an area that he thinks he's going to be advantageous is in the clinch. He thinks he probably can work away in the clinch and do certain moves in order for me to, you know, not know what I'm doing. And he thinks he'll have a better inside game than me. But we've been working on that. We've been working on making sure, you know, in the clinch, I'm doing work. You know, I'm not just in no man's land and lost. Same with, you know, the type of boxing that we've been, you know, working on, and the type of techniques, etc. You know, we've been working on new techniques. We've been working on new stances, working on new angle changes, and, you know, shifting and all these other things to make sure when I get in that ring, I'm just an absolute animal. And I just want to see the fear in his face. I just want to see it in his eyes. I just want to see him crumble beneath me and just really understand that all the hard work and everything that I put into this, I'm going to unleash onto him. Yeah.
It's quite a statement. I mean, second to that, we're on our 5 days together in Austin. You arrived with the full training team, we were training over there, so I think if certain professionals have that mindset, they will also be a lot further in any career, actually. He's not here. Let's give it one final last message, because clearly there'll be millions of people watching this. What message, one-to-one, he's in front of you now, what do you say to Dylan now?
KSI?
Well, I mean, Dylan, you're probably training hard, or you're probably thinking you can play mind games with me, but my mind is so strong, it's bulletproof, and nothing can penetrate. I am a man that has lived on the internet. I've heard the worst of the worst. I've been through it all publicly, you know, when it comes to, you know, family situations, or when it comes to just life in general. You know, a lot of it has been public, and I've had to go through all of that. So nothing you can do can break me. And when I get in that ring, I'm going to break you mentally and physically. And I don't want you to be able to ever say to anyone ever again that you are a fighter. I want the whole world to know that you're a piece of shit and you're getting fucked up.
It's a very clear statement. On that note, let's head to the floor for some questions.
Jody here for seconds out. First things first, JJ. A lot of people will be wondering, with Dylan not being in today, how likely do you think to pull out? It's obviously Alex pulled out last fight. Are you worried about that?
I'm not worried about a pullout. I'm used to it. Yeah, if he wants to pull out, cool. You know, we have people ready to fight me. Instead, you know, there's a lot of people that want to fight me, and there's a lot of people that don't want to fight me. But if he does pull out, yeah, we've got people ready.
I just answered that from a promoter point of view as well. We've been assured he's in training. Spoke to his management yesterday. But yeah, you know, we are ready for everything. In this space, you have to be ready for everything, like you do in real boxing. I think I introduced the substitute system. It's the World Boxing Super Series, and we will have exactly the same setup here. They know that, but I do, you know, there's obviously a lot of money at stake as well. It's a big fight, and I would be surprised if there's a change of heart given what they've told us yesterday. So.
One fight on the undercard as well. Anthony Taylor with Idris Logo surprised me. I really like that fight. Could you talk on that? I know you trained with Idris at the show.
Yeah, I train with Idris, and you know, he's working hard. He's working very hard. He's a good fighter, and he's training with the best of the best, and he's sparring, you know, the top fighters, and you know, I think this is hopefully going to be the first time we're going to see Anthony Taylor get knocked out. I think it's a long time coming. You know, he's a man that loves clout. His whole game is clout. Everything to do with Anthony Taylor is just clout. You know, even when he hit Dylan Danis, and you know, he said he did it to you know, stand up for me, but I saw right through it. I just know everything he does is for himself. He just cares about himself. He cares about clout. So, you know, I can't wait for Idris to really get in that ring and just show him the power of shoot fighters.
It's funny with Anthony Taylor, when you put a series of events coming together and you see them repeating and it's developing its sort of own ecosystem, you see, I mean, wasn't Anthony Taylor, I think a week before, fighting on the streets of Dubai, and then a week later he's fighting on the streets of Austin in the car park? So you can see already the type of characters that you get. I mean, I'm not going to mention any names, but in classic boxing, I'm going to think of a few that are quite similar to Anthony Taylor. So, you know, we're hoping that the English boy does his business on Jan 14.
Calla and Joe as well, you touched on kind of appealing mainly to traditional boxing fans when you mentioned actors and other people that could step into the midst of boxing. Do you have any plans on appealing to traditional boxing fans?
I'll take that one. I think the products are separate for a reason. I think there is going to be some crossover, but it's a separate sports vertical in my opinion. It's targeting a different cohort of fans, a different sort of audience of fans. It skews younger. We previously experimented with crossover boxing on traditional boxing cards. We were criticised for that. I understand why. I think separating them is the sensible thing to do. the beauty of X Series is we now have a dedicated set of partners and a dedicated partnership together that is focused specifically on this space. And I think that's the right play. It definitely doesn't dilute our investment in traditional boxing. We're the world's largest investor in traditional boxing. We have a global schedule of traditional boxing events, major pay-per-views. This is a separate product, and I think it appeals to a different set of fans primarily. There will be crossover, and we're obviously open to that. But it each exists in their own lane, and that's good for us.
I'd just add to that, if you've got a new demographic signing up to DAZN, which has such a wide variety of boxing offerings, it's only natural that, and I actually remember one of JJ's posts right at the beginning when he was talking about the system, he said, oh look, if we see this fight and that fight, and you were surprised yourself how much is on that platform. It's a door opener for the young to go on there to watch their heroes like KSI, and then hopefully they'll look at it and say, oh well, there's a bit of that classic boxing, I'll look at that, you know, and that's the overall goal, of course.
I also think it's fantastic for traditional boxing that some of the world's leading marketeers, which is what these guys are, some of the world's leading business people, have chosen to play out their rivalries in the sport of boxing. It could easily be anything else. It could be any number of things inside and outside sport. The fact that boxing is the chosen medium for that to happen is great, I think, for traditional boxing, because what traditional boxing needs is lifeblood, and that comes from new fans and new ages and new generations of fans coming into the sport. This isn't a silver bullet, there isn't a silver bullet, but it will definitely help.
Mark Noble from Boxing UK. KSI, if you also get past Dylan on the 14th of January, what are the possibilities we'll see yourself and Jake Paul headline at Wembley Stadium in 2023?
I mean, that has always been the goal. The goal has always been Jake Paul, and that's the reason why I've come back into boxing, to show everyone that Jake Paul is nothing. But yeah, it could be Wembley Stadium, it could be any stadium here in the UK. It's going to happen. You know, we're negotiating at the moment, and yeah, we're working on making sure it's one of the biggest fights of all time.
And Kelly, you already peaked at millions of views for the Soul Mystics venture. How much more can you grow this? How many more people can you expand to? How much more can you take this?
Well, I think that, you know, the beauty of it lies in consistency. In whatever you do in sports programming, and if you look at now that I remember our first press conference for Beyond 2, I do a lot of press conferences every year, and I was so nervous because I didn't know anyone who was up there really. Yeah, I was like asking Mans, asking JJ, like, well, about this one, that one, and now I look at a card, and that's all my notes. I don't do notes for press conferences. I've got the card up here, and I'm like, okay, that's a good fight. Oh, that's interesting. We'll just discuss it before. So I'm actually a great guinea pig, right? Because if you look at it, I can look and dissect this card. I can have a proper chat with you about this card now. Right? We don't need to do that. We can do that one-on-one. But what I'm saying is, the more consistency, the future of this space of misfits, which provides a framework, a go-to place, a safe place to conduct your trade. That's what it is. That is not rocket science, what we're doing. We're just doing it in a serious way, in a very wacky and very entertainingly unserious world. That's what it is. And, you know, the likes of Ryan Taylor, we know he is a tough, excuse the language, bastard, right? And we know he's going to bring it absolutely on to Swarms, who, you know, he came up against the best in his segment, and you know, came up second best, obviously, on that night. But has he looked at that and adapted? And that's a very interesting fight for me. So the more we see it, the more the characters pop up, and those ones will be headlining events in the future. That's the beautiful thing about this.
Thank you.
How's it going, JJ?
How you doing, Fred?
So for all the kind of influencers out there and celebrities, rappers, if you could pick 3 names in the world today to add to this boxing, who would you like?
I mean, it's funny. I hope he doesn't get annoyed that I said this, but Wayne Rooney hit me up being like, "Oh, we should fight," and I said no. I just don't want to do that. I don't know, if Wayne Rooney is down, of course he can. I think it'd be good to have him in the space. I know Wayne Bridge is another person that's been interested in the space.
Rooney's the boxer. He's the boxer. Rooney's the boxer.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I do know. For me, I've just got certain goals in mind, and maybe after Jake, if I feel like I want to do something after Jake, but we'll see. But what's his name? Who's the other?
Matt Hancock?
But I mean, to be honest, I did see him on.
You said politicians, that's why.
Yeah, but I don't really. I mean, if he's down.
I'll send him a letter.
I don't know. It literally, like, with this space, it could be anyone. It could literally be anyone. Anyone who wants to fight can fight. That's just what Misfits is. And I think it's a space that's always growing, and it's something that, not even for me. I don't do it for money. I do it because I want to see how much I can improve as a human being. I think for me, I just, I've said it before, but I kind of want to feel like how Goku does when this is the whole anime talk, but when Goku is able to constantly push barriers in his body and push his, go into different Super Saiyans and just constantly pushing his body more and more. I feel like that's what's happening with me right now. Like, I'm constantly getting PBs with my running and my weightlifting and my sparring. I'm able to do more and more rounds. I'm able to fight, more than, one person with my sparring. Like, I'm fighting two people on rotation. Like, it's just, I'm able to just constantly improve. And because I've just stayed dedicated and focused and disciplined, I'm able to just put myself put my body in a way or in a mode that I never thought I'd ever be in, and I love it. I think it's sick. It's like a superpower, and I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit of a narcissist, but I do love myself, and I love just being able to improve myself. And that's why I had therapy, because the idea of being able to control my mind and be stronger than other people, because I'm able to just understand why I think the way I think and why I do why I do the things that I do, and be able to constantly just be better. I just think it's amazing, and for me, I just love it. I just always just love being a better human being. I think there's something beautiful in that.
Do you think it's a kind of a self-improvement that motivates you?
I love being able to beat my 400 meter sprint times. I love being able to, last longer, do longer rounds in sparring, and, be able to not just fight one person in sparring, but be able to fight two. I love being able to just always be better. And for me, I hate getting injured because I feel like it slows down my progress. So I'm just a progress-driven person. And I think it gives me purpose. And I think for me, that is it. That's what gives me purpose right now. Because, it's funny, you see it in the doc, but in the doc, I definitely lost my purpose. And I definitely lost my way a bit. And I felt very empty. Whereas now I just feel so fulfilled and so good about my life. And, therapy has helped tremendously. And also just having purpose in my life. So for me, making sure I break, Danis's face January 14th, it's going to give me so much joy. And then breaking the next person, and then the next person, or whoever it is, and then eventually getting to Jake Paul and then destroying everything that he's built. I think it's going to be fantastic.
That's quite a mission statement. And you beat me to the front cover of Men's Health as well. That was, I was very jealous on that one. Very jealous on that one. But I mean, you said that it's open to all. What I find interesting, and it's got what you said, and I was half joking with Matt Hancock. There will be a letter on the way though from Misfits. Offer coming over this afternoon, Mr. Hancock. Is what we have seen a couple of times is people who maybe haven't taken it as seriously as they should have and not coming back. I'm not going to say names, but if you're not dedicated to sport, it's not mini golf. You know, like Joe said, it's great that this world has chosen boxing, but you don't play boxing. And the level that KSI's taken it to requires that dedication of a true pro to travel his schedule with his team of trainers, etc., etc. And that's really where you'll see whether a Saul Pappy's round in 2 years' time. I think he will. I think he's an incredible talent. Actually, he can really be built up to be something. But they will have to have that approach. The question is who has enough of that approach to challenge to the very top and to be there on for more than a show. You know, it's a nice place to get eyeballs, but it's a painful place to get eyeballs if you don't take it seriously. Good question. Next one.
This is Connor on behalf of SCB. This is for JJ. What's your mindset and how you think going into this fight?
Mindset wise, I'm just ready. Yeah, I'm ready, excited. You know, the hardest part of all my fights is the training. The training, you know, just constantly having to push my body in another sphere, just constantly having to. Because there's so many times where, you know, I'm sure everyone can, you know, agree with this, where you train and then there's that mental, that your mind just goes, oh, just give up, or oh, just stop, or oh, just take a break. And then being able to tell that voice to just shut up and be able to continue and keep going. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I've just done that several times. I've just broken past that barrier several times. And yeah, I'm just ready, I'm excited. You know, for me, getting in that ring, I'm not nervous. It's an excitement, it's a celebration of all the hard work that I put in, and you know, being able to show the people what I've been working on. I think it's awesome, and it's crazy because people are gonna see an even scarier KSI than they did against Logan or against the Swarms or like all of that. Like, I'm going to be even better than I was before, and I was doing push-ups in between fighting two people on one night, so it just shows like the levels that I'm at.
Jojo, Paul, he feels you'd be mental to go straight into Jake Paul after this without having a bridging fight in between. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, for me, no.
Based on what? So it's a pro promoter's answer to it. Based on what? Were you beating Anderson Silva?
Well, he feels
like based on what?
He feels,
like, no, seriously, man.
He feels Dylan Danis is about the same level as Ben Askren.
Look, I think for me, like, I could fight Jake middle of next year if I wanted to. You know, I was definitely offered to, but I said nah because I'm enjoying this too much. If I don't know if that's kind of weird. I'm just, you know, I didn't expect to just be so obsessed with being able to just improve so much. I think I'm just on a level where I'm able to just keep going and keep going and keep going way further than I thought. Like, it's crazy. I never thought I'd ever be able to get a 5K under 20 minutes, and now I've breezed past that. Now that's nothing. And to be able to just know that I could go further beyond I think it's just sick. And I just don't really want to end it so quick because I know as soon as I fight Jake, it's done. Like I have no intrigue or interest to do anything else boxing-wise. So I don't know why I want to end it so quickly. I'm enjoying the journey too much.
Can I just ask, if Tommy Fury gets a Jake Paul fight before you, who do you think wins?
I hate to say it, I think Jake will win it. I think Tommy hasn't really been tested. Well, I think he's been tested a few times chin-wise, and he has been a bit wobbly. And I just think Jake has just dedicated more time into the training compared to Tommy. I think Tommy just does the boxing because it's the thing to do in his family, but I don't think he's as dedicated as someone like Tyson or his other brothers. So yeah, I just don't. I think Jake will win that. As much as I hate to say it. By anyone, and then when people come up to him with negotiations, he then goes, "Oh, I need warm-up fights." I think he knows if he loses a fight with either me, Logan, etc., his whole career ends. His whole situation ends. He can't, be this top G anymore because it just doesn't hold any weight anymore. So I think he's quite mindful of that fact. And look, it's always a fight that everyone's looking at. I'm looking at it. I would love to fight him, but it's not as easy as you think.
From a Misfits perspective, one thing that really annoys me about this space, but then again it does that in classic boxing as well, is about when fighters say the contracts are out and he's got it on the table, signed the contract, this, that and the other. If I put a job offer into someone in the room and I said sign the contract, wouldn't you want to know what's in the contract? Like date, how much, etc. So in this world it's bandied about a lot. I'll put a contract out, so you can put a contract out with $1 in it and the fight's tomorrow, would you sign it? No. So it's a loosely worded term. Jake Paul loves that wording as well. I just think that if you want to fight and you've got, Jake Paul's got a very good name. Andrew Tate seems to be quite famous as well. Well, then why are they not going out and putting on shows? I'm not quite following it because that's the way it works in boxing and crossover boxing as well. Why is he fighting his third opponent in January in the space of 5 months? I don't know. That seems to be a bit odd, the amount of pull-outs, the amount of this, that and the other. We had a pull-out 2 weeks before and he decided to fight 2 guys in one night. I still haven't got over the shock at that moment when he told me, but it seemed to work okay. The numbers I think we were very happy with and he broke history. So, it's a lot of talk and I guess that's where this space comes from. So people seem to be better at it than others.
Yeah, we want big fights. I think Andrew Tate versus JJ would be a big fight. I think he's thinking about January 14th, and Caroline and the team will think about the business side of it going forward. Maybe it's in the future, we'll see.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and wish you all a Merry